Well, we were going to go to Fort King George, but it was raining. So we decided to take a little drive to Sapelo Island. And sorry, there are gnats everywhere. Do you see them? It is crazy. This is insane. So we're going to check out, there's a visitor center here, and we're going to check that out. And we'll take you along with us. So they have a very nice nature trail here. It's a 1.1 mile loop. And obstacles may include dry sand, fallen limbs, leaf litter, cold or heat, insects, and venomous snakes. So, yeah. But here's the old visitor center here. They have sidewalk. Must have had some recent bad storms like Atlanta did. Well, they're not too recent because the leaves are brown. But it did take down a cedar tree, part of a cedar, and an oak there. But let's check this place out.
The history.
You're learning the history right now. The slave.
Y'all have a good time?
Great time.
I'm fine, everything was over there. Different. What?
We remember why.
Oh, really? So you can enjoy that. That's good.
You're sitting on the next trip for like $25.
What if I just get you? Well, I was gonna. That's probably like a medium. That's probably a medium. Alright, I'll get this. I'm getting a patch for George though. That'll be easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a lot.
This guy from Michigan.
Oh, really?
I can give you a
He's
shirt.
the new vice president of Hudson Motor Company.
I can't, I told you
nemesis. Actually, see these thorns right there? I actually had one break off in my foot. I think when I was 11, 12-ish. I ended up in the ER. I was on a group camping trip. So I was in pain till they got everyone fed and bedded down. And then they took me to the ER. And this is what oysters look like in the Carolinas and Georgia. They come in clusters. They're not individual like Apalachicola oysters or your west or northeast oysters. And this is absolutely free to come in and look around. I love this artist. I wish they had originals. Figured we'd come up here and get a bird's eye view. A tree with, you have this vine coming up here is greenbrier. Got some palmetto growing in the tree. Some ferns. Let's see, let me zoom in. There's the palmetto and all the ferns on the limb. So we weren't expecting so much rain this early today. We thought it would be later in the afternoon. So we're just having to find alternatives to our original plans, which is fine. Gives us an excuse to come back down sometime. And I guess that must be the ferry boat to go to the island. So according to the gentleman inside, I believe he said you had to have an invitation to go to Sapelo Island as part of a group, or they do have Airbnb, so you could rent an Airbnb and go over there. But yeah, they had some pretty violent storms down here. There are a lot of limbs down. And I see where it looks like they took out there's a stump right there between those trees that's freshly cut. So yeah, they've had a lot of damage. Now we're getting more rain, but I love this metal roof. Sounds lovely. A lot of cedar trees here. Kind of surprised by that. They can wreak havoc on fruit trees. You have something called, I think it's called cedar rust rot. I had a tree at my house when we first moved in that had it. And I discovered it when I was planting the apples in my orchard. So I quickly, took me a few days, but I cut it down by hand. Cedar is tough wood, let me tell you. Like I said, it took me a few days to cut it down by hand. But yeah, that was an adventure. There we go. I don't know that it's going to make it up to the 70s today, but that was the original plan. Also, no rain until later this afternoon, but you know, weather has a mind of its own. This moisture is coming up off the Gulf. I mean, off the Atlantic.
DC and, Yukon, and then went over through Chicken
Yeah.
into, Fairbanks. And then, met one of my friends, he worked for, fishing game up there, in Talkeetna.
Yeah.
And, they flew him, and he was doing a moose browsing for hydrological study or something like that for, a dam or something they were thinking of.
Yeah, they're still thinking about that same.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
all right, okay.
Don't want
So they
that.
flew him in, and we got to see him for a day or so, and then they flew him back out. And then we went on down, to Kenai and, down to Homer, and then back up around the Wrangles, all the way back down to Skagway. And then took a small aircraft out of, Skagway back down to, what was it, Juneau?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then picked up a larger aircraft,
Yeah.
and back on.
I can think of, there's a lot to take in.
Oh, there is, it really is.
It's interesting, it was owned by the R.J. Reynolds background here.
Oh, yeah. Well, RJ really, everywhere he went, he had, up into Kentucky, different places, the Carolinas. He was very influential.
They were minting a product that was more addictive to it. One big cash machine.
Yeah, well, see, that during the Depression, he bought the mansion from, or the island and his yacht from,
That's funny, they called it all down.
and,
Chocolate.
oh, yeah.
He was vice president of
So
Hudson
it's
River.
a concentration. So
I think the
they
dairy
want
is
to
wealthy.
tenth of a percent.
Is wealthy.
It was, the floor plan came from, the, Red Lobster. You familiar with the restaurants?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was the floor plan was a restaurant.
Used to have a
for
light
Red
house
Lobster,
there.
and they took it and,
We took a tour over there.
All right, so I was talking to Bill at the visitor center. He's amazing, very knowledgeable. He's worked for the state parks, different parks, for many, many years. I think he said 36 to 39 years. He's been a state employee. So, but he said, yeah, all this debris is from when we had the snow. Down here, they got rain, then ice, then snow, and it took down a lot of trees and everything. So he said up there on the patio, they had many inches of ice that they had to get off of the structure. And that was quite the challenge. But it was a nice little visit, and that was absolutely free. We love free. And there's a little cast iron plant hanging out under there. You can barely see it under the cedar. But yeah, come check out Sapelo Island Visitor Center. It's still raining, so we're going to head up to the smallest church in the U.S., I think is where we're going. All right, the problem with wearing your glasses on your head is when you want to film, there's water all over. Anyway, thanks for watching this short film. And we're going to head on up to that other community and see what we can find.